If you're having paranormal issues, contact us at mwghosthunters.com. From the files of the Midwest Ghost Hunters.
All right, Midwest Ghost Hunters site investigation, recorder 1. Oh, Dustin, right there. Something just moved behind you.
Yes, it did.
What the was that?
What happened?
Something touched my ear, man.
What's that?
This is Dark Matter with Midwest Ghost Hunters.
He kind of teased the idea, and it may be a shitty idea, I don't know. We'll find out here in a minute. Of talking about pet ghosts, which is something we don't really have any experience with, I don't think.
Other than the Stephen King movie, Pet Sematary.
Remember when we went to see that and we went to the midnight showing? What the hell was wrong with us? You remember when we went to see that in the theater?
I don't think we did.
Yes, we did.
We rented the movie.
Whenever the Pet Sematary 2 came out, we went and saw it in the theater.
Are you talking about like back in like the 90s?
Yeah, 95 or whenever. Because they did like a 1040 showing, and we went to it. You and I went. This was when there was still a movie theater in the mall. And we went to that damn thing at 1040 at night. It got done at like 15 to 1. You don't remember?
No, I don't remember going to see that.
Yeah, and it was terrible. It was a terrible movie.
I must have just mentally blocked it out.
He snuck in a couple Sixers.
Because at one point, your brother, Jeff, was supposed to meet us there, and he never did. He never came.
I don't remember this at all.
This happened, I swear. It's the only time I've ever gone to a movie that friggin' late.
And it was Pet Sematary 2.
This was Pet Sematary 2.
Okay.
Yeah. And the only reason it's even in my brain at all is I'll still think about it sometimes, because nowadays when I look at the clock and it's like 7:50, it's like, God, it's late. You know?
No.
And I do that because at 8 o'clock it's all shut down.
Is that when you
I'm
start
at home
folding your walker up and
yeah, pretty much
parking your wheelchair?
Pretty much at 8 o'clock my doors don't get darkened again.
You gotta get that glass of milk by 7:30.
I'm in. I mean, unless we're doing like an investigation or something, at 8 o'clock it's wind down time.
That's why
doors are locked.
We're gonna have to start doing all of our ghost hunts during brunch time.
But and a big part of it may be, once the sun's up a little later, that may shift by 30, maybe 8:30.
Get a BLT and a ghost hunt.
But right now at 8 o'clock, it's like, ooh, it's time to start shutting her down.
I don't know about brunch time, but we should start bringing like a fruit bowl or something to these things.
Box of raisins.
I don't think I can make it to the midnight Taco Bell thing much longer.
Okay, so anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about something we know nothing about, which is...
Hey, it's what we do every week.
I know. Which is animal or pet ghosts. And the reason we kind of even kick the idea around is, number one, because people have emailed and asked, have you ever had any experience with an animal ghost? Because I swear I've felt my cat rubbing against my leg. There's nervous system reasons that could happen.
I mean, I feel my phone vibrate in my pocket
all the time.
20 times a day.
This watch, I feel it vibrate when it's not even on my arm.
Yeah.
So can phones be ghosts?
That's next week. Shit.
Sorry.
So anyway, what brought it up was Melissa was talking about one of the dogs here at Pythian Castle, where we do the podcast, has passed away. Right? Is that what? I don't remember how we got started talking about it.
Yeah, one of them did, because we had mentioned pet ghosts a couple weeks ago. And we actually do have a room upstairs where people say they feel like a dog or a cat like brushes against their leg. It's only one room upstairs. Mm-hmm. But I just brought it up because I'm kind of like, well, maybe we'll hear him here at the castle. I'm just weird like that. But I had also told a story a couple weeks ago about how after one of my cats passed away, I could have swore I saw her walk through the basement.
One of the best paranormal videos I've ever seen was on Paranormal Caught on Camera, and it was a cat. Have you seen that one, sitting on the couch? Mm-mm. It was caught by their nanny cam, whatever the indoor camera was, I don't know. But they're like interacting in the living room and walking around, and they can't even see it. But there is a black cat turning its head and everything, sitting on the couch, and their black cat had died recently. So, I mean, could that be, I don't know. I don't know enough about video to know if there's like a screen burn, where that kind of thing could have just been burnt in there from, a cat before, but it couldn't have been, actually, now that I think about it, because later on in the video, it's not there anymore. But anyway, that's one of the best videos that I've seen. and then as the video progresses, it's just like once they show it fast, you can see, but it's just gone. It's not there anymore.
There's also been at Waverly Hills, when it was abandoned for a long period of time and people could just come and go, there was a gentleman who lived there with a German Shepherd dog. And they would never run him off because he kept his little room tidy. Well, people came in at some point in the middle of the night and they pushed this man and his dog down the elevator shaft and they died. And people still see the dog walking up and down the hallway.
It's been a lot of people have claims involving animals. It's something that we've never had any personal experience with that I can think of.
No, I don't think anyone's ever brought that up to us.
No, but I've always read stories, like online, about people who've lost their pets and then hear them or see them.
And that's what made the cat video, I could probably find it here in a minute, but and at least link to it on the website. But that's what made the cat video so compelling was that and they showed pictures of the cat. It was a black cat, all black cats look fairly the
The
same.
thing that I think about when I thought about this is, like, what are the rules then?
Well,
because, like, you know what I mean? Like, if some pets are ghosts, then there's been, like, I say the same thing about humans. Like, if they could, they'd be around us all the time.
Right.
You know how many things have died, and just more things every day keep dying?
Right.
At some point, we should be surrounded by ghosts.
Yeah, I would have a whole house full of houseplant ghosts. You would too. Well, maybe you're better at keeping them alive than I am.
I haven't lost too many. This is a banana plant.
But it just, I don't know how you did that.
I planted it.
Oh, there you go.
It got rotted before
We've talked about the rules of that before, and I have no idea what the rules are because there was I can't even remember the show. I think it was that's what it was. It was that celebrity. What is that show called? Where the Famously Afraid is what it's called.
There's also just like celebrity ghost stories. I think.
Yeah, those are both actually really good, especially when you get people on there like Alice Cooper and Marilyn Manson.
Well, we were talking about this the other day. Like, if it's somebody that is like that the public feels like they know and can trust. That's why I like testimonials.
And if you can trust anybody, it's Alice Cooper and Marilyn Manson.
Well, I'm just saying
Marilyn
that.
Manson drinks absinthe.
This is why I like hearing stories like
Of course
that.
he sees ghosts.
Like that police officer email. Like, people just inherently, for whatever reason, trust people like that are in a position of authority like that. And pilots seeing UFOs.
Right, yes.
That kind of thing.
And I'm the same way. I prefer to watch, like John suggested a show on UFOs, and I watched all 5 or how many episodes there were. And it was all military,
Base commanders.
High-ranking military people talking about, UFO sightings and experiences and stuff that they'd seen over the years. So even, I even prefer hearing it. It's not that I don't trust when people tell us something, but for entertainment value, it's more interesting to me to see a pilot talking about a UFO or,
a police officer telling a ghost story.
Than someone wearing a tank top that's 3 sizes too small and a 9-inch long cigarette. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
we've met that person before.
I know.
Now what we need to do is look at the analytics and the data and see who exited the podcast right there.
Right. Yeah.
And then call them out on it.
We just lost 50% of the Midwest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying. I mean, it's just basic human nature to judge your sources, or at least pick them wisely. And it's not that it's like I said, it's not that we don't believe anybody who comes to us with any claim. We believe you experienced that. We just don't necessarily aren't 100% sold that, what the cause was.
Now, a lot of the things with the pet, and I'm just going to be the devil's advocate here, is that it would be very comforting. It's a comforting thought.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with
thing with humans and people. Yeah,
and I don't remember if we were rolling earlier when we said this or not. Were we rolling earlier when we talked about the phantom vibrations from the phones?
Yeah.
Oh,
brought
okay.
that up earlier, yeah.
We were yakking.
And I don't like to be the person who's like saying, "Oh, this is a good thing to talk about. A good time to talk about. Like, just because we didn't catch anything doesn't mean there's nothing there." Because I always have this fear that, like, we've been to many places where people say it's their family member. Right?
Yes.
And I hate going in there and be like, "Oh, we caught nothing." Sorry, it's not your family member.
Nope, they could care less.
Well, but this is why you should never do an investigation that you yourself are tied to.
Yeah.
Because your personal biases will get in the way.
And that's what we talked about when we talked about your personal one.
Yeah, we had a situation.
We were going to do an investigation for someone that John was close to. But then we decided, are we going to make ourselves find something?
Right. And what happened was it was a deal where Chris said, all right, just you and I, we'll go in and do this. And I said, no, you've got ties to this individual as well. And he's like, oh, that's right. He said, well, we'll get Dustin and Tyler to do it. And I said, well, that's not going to look funny at all.
Yeah.
That's not going to look funny.
We were trying to do a discreet investigation.
Yeah. We were trying to do it on the down low. And I said, how am I going to explain that?
Yeah.
Those two guys just showing up randomly doing this. And so we did not. But that's where you don't want to get into that situation.
And that plays into the comfort thing Dustin was talking about, because you really do want your pet to come back.
Well, people who have had spouses or children or close family members pass away say they can sometimes still hear them.
Yeah.
Or like smell breakfast if they cook breakfast every morning.
Yep.
If I had a ghost, they'd just cook me breakfast every morning.
Well, you couldn't eat it.
Just your forklift just pass right there.
Dustin would be coming into the, what are we having today?
What do we got here?
Ghost eggs and ghost pancakes.
Just a big bowl of pancake batter floating around.
But there's also instances where people will, and Melissa knows, people will insert themselves and people that are close to them that have passed into the most random, stupid, frickin' places you could ever imagine. And you guys have no idea what we're talking about. No. But every time we do an investigation, anywhere, there's a person out there who, no matter where we go, whether it's here, Fair Grove, we could go to some abandoned place in Mexico. It wouldn't matter. This person is going to swear they saw or heard someone they know.
Like at that place.
At that place.
Yep. Chris and I had a long conversation about that.
Is this person in the room with us right now?
No. We don't even know who it is.
No, it's disrespectful to places like Fair Grove, if in fact that was her dad that we were talking about. It's disrespectful to go on and be like, oh no, that's my dead relative. No, it's not. Don't say things like that.
That's my brother, Bobby. I see him.
It's disrespectful.
I see him. What? Yeah, sending messages, hey, that video that you caught of someone peeking around, with the laser grid, that's my brother Bobby. I see his Dallas Cowboys hat.
Yep.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Disrespectful.
Is that on?
Yes.
Does this person listen to the podcast?
I don't know.
Probably.
Not anymore.
They might have.
You know what? That's okay, because we don't need that kind of
weed them out.
Baloney.
Lost 51% now.
But that is infuriating when that happens.
One person is 1%.
Well, if there's 100 people.
You can round up.
That's what I'm saying. Are we that low in Missouri?
Yes.
Gosh.
Anyway, some people even go that far. I think that's an extreme example.
Yes.
But that's infuriating. That just freaking makes me so mad.
I think there's probably some other reasons why that,
Oh.
That's attention seeking.
Yes.
100%. That's all social media is 100%.
Well, here's what I would do.
Really wants to see a ghost.
I would tell them, if you want to see a ghost and you think, get your friends together and come here on a Tuesday night and take the tour.
No.
And you can see all the ghosts and tell the guide all about it.
Oh, they do. I'll go talk about what happens in this room, and I'll have at least one person come up and say, "Oh my God, that just happened to me."
Like they
after you've said it.
After I said it.
Well, but part of that may also be the fact that you're dealing with fans of the paranormal. This is their chance to finally be
everybody
ghost hunters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to leave with a story, even if you have to make it.
But in every single room, these same things happen. No, they don't.
That's part of the problem. What we're dealing with. It's part of our uphill battle.
Well, a big part of the problem are people who can say, well, I'm very sensitive. And maybe there are people who are. We're not. Go ahead. Go for it.
You might as well just say it.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's like a lot of people are into this kind of stuff. Like
He's getting into it. The headphones are off.
The proverbial gloves are off, man.
Oh, the hat came off too.
Well, I mean,
do you want a sweat towel? He's gonna need subbed in a minute.
Are you done?
I'm good.
Go
Get
ahead.
them all. You got another one in the chamber.
No.
A lot of people what? Are you talking about a lot of people who think they're sensitive?
He ruined my flow. Yeah, people like that. That's like most of the people who are into this kind of stuff.
Yes.
And our podcast is meant to, kind of capture those people.
Cater to those people.
And then we're just telling them like, well, putting a finger up at them.
There's a point though where
I am in full agreement.
that people are just a little too out there.
But what I'm saying is there's a lot of people who are a little too far out there.
That's the number one thing I tell whenever we set up an investigation somewhere is I tell them we are not, because, and this is nothing against, anybody, 9 times out of 10, the people whose houses we go to will say that. Well, I'm sensitive. And I'll say, we're not. I'm not.
I'm definitely not.
I assume I'm speaking for everybody.
Yeah, no.
I mean, hell, half the time I don't even hear it, until we listen back.
See, like this is...
We're just normal, normal being used loosely, regular people.
I've been looking.
Normal. Yeah.
I've been looking and listening at paranormal stuff on the internet since the internet became a thing.
Yes.
That's like one of the first searches I did was about this kind of stuff. Because it was the only real media you had for it. You couldn't really go out and buy a magazine and read about this stuff. So ever since the internet started, and it's just been full of this constantly. So I'm very pessimistic about this stuff now. Yeah. I've been exposed to it so long that everybody saying that they're sensitive or this and that. And I immediately don't judge them for it, but I don't put any stock in it.
That's a better way to put it. We don't necessarily judge people. Well, Tyler does.
I absolutely do.
We don't necessarily judge people who say, because if you're having significant paranormal activity in your house, it may be significant paranormal activity that anybody would have experienced.
If you're having significant paranormal activity, any random guy off the street you pick is going to be able to experience.
That's what I mean.
Not necessarily. And I go back to that place in Willard, and we went down there multiple times.
Yeah, but
and there was
those times
nothing.
that it was bad, you could have brought anyone, and it would have been bad.
Correct, but think about the times that it wasn't.
Well, then you could have brought anyone, and it wouldn't have been.
Right, but
that means no one's special.
But what that? Well, see, that's where I don't know. I mean, we don't know that because we haven't been in that home enough times to know that. I mean, we're coming in, and it's like what Edwin Becker always talks about is that when you're doing a paranormal investigation, it's a particular snapshot at that moment. We have been here at this castle in this very room and not been able to finish a podcast before because of all the activity. The last 2 weeks that we've been, there's been nothing.
Right. I'm not saying that sometimes there's not activity. I'm saying when there is, it doesn't matter who's there, it's going to be there.
I think this is if a tree falls in the woods, right?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Didn't happen because we were there.
Well, but what I'm saying, though, is, again, because there's not been any scientific research really ever done into this, to be able to repeat this again and again and again and again, I don't think that there's as many people that believe that they're sensitive either. I don't. But I'm not willing to completely throw all that out because there's just not been enough data on that to know for sure.
Well, there's not been any studies on it simply because of it's just been chastised. You can't talk.
And no one's ever going to do that. But I will tell you that after we went down to that house in Willard multiple times, nothing happened. And then we're going down the hall and something runs down the hall at me. I'm going to rethink my position on that.
And all I'm saying is if it wasn't you in that hall and if it was one of us or anybody else.
Right. It could have happened to the same person.
Yeah.
It could have. Yes.
This comes down to the scientific principle of does the act of observation change the outcome?
Right.
We don't know.
We don't.
Because in order to study it, you have to observe it.
Because actually, if you get into quantum stuff, quantum physics and stuff, it does, they think, change the outcome.
This is the cat in the box, right?
Schrodinger's cat?
Schrodinger's cat, yes.
Well, kind of. That talks about more different possibilities.
Different outcomes.
It does go into that. There's been these little nanoparticles, right? You're watching them.
We're rabbit holing.
We are. But if you're watching them, they would behave differently than if you are not. Which is the principle you're talking about.
Yeah, and the Schrodinger's cat, the idea of it is all outcomes happen, right?
Yeah.
You just travel down the path.
On top of that, I think you also have people like what you're talking about with this one. Those are attention seekers that are inserting themselves.
I mean, they probably honestly
while
believe
we're on the
it,
topic of attention seekers, how do you feel about mediums and psychics?
Well, I agree with the police officer in New Hampshire. How many mediums? Let's say how many mediums and psychics have been in here?
A lot.
What have they they picked up on?
Well, there's so many stories on different parts that don't always coincide with one another. Are you talking about like the spirits themselves or what? Like what
I'm just
happened?
curious how full of shit they were.
Everybody has a different name for the guy in the tunnel, and he never responds to any of them. Somebody came in and said that there were people murdered in the basement, which there very well may be, but we don't know for sure that happened. There's so many stories.
The U.S. government in the 40s proved there are people who can, with a very high accuracy, what is the word? See? I can't even think of the word. See things that are happening away
You're
from.
talking about like remote viewing.
Remote viewing. That's
Telepathic.
Exactly what I'm trying to think. But I tend to believe most people. Are you trying to figure out which study which one that was?
Yeah.
I'll look it up. I can't remember which one that was.
I mean, I know there was experiments done.
Yeah.
Is this the one where like the Navy ship disappeared and reappeared like miles away?
That's the.
I think that's something different.
What is that project called? The
Philadelphia
experiment. That's right. But I tend to believe most people who wear the name tag psychic and medium are maybe not all, but I tend to believe most of them are full of it.
Well, those studies you were talking about like went into our realm here a little bit. Like you're talking about like MK Ultra, and
yes.
But I will say that all those studies involved heavy doses of LSD.
Yes, I know that
So
they
like,
did
anything that they saw,
and that has led to further studies of does LSD just cause hallucinations, or does it actually tap into something where you can actually use this part of your brain?
which is kind of an interesting rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, it is. You can go down that one for a
Not
long
personally.
time.
I'm not going to trip any LSD and like find that for myself.
If you started reaching in your pocket, we were going to start freaking out.
I'm glad we brought this up today, guys.
For a long time.
So what he's talking about is there was LSD involved in the experiments they used to check remote viewing, and then in the people it was successful with, they're trying to not now, but then after that, the sub-study was trying to figure out, well, does LSD just make you, batshit nuts and have hallucinations, or does it actually tap into the part of the brain that causes you to be able to have the telepathic ability to do that?
And that's the kind of like experiments and stuff that I like.
Yeah.
Like I like, because that sounds very close to like what we're doing here. It's fringe science.
That whole Philadelphia experiment, that whole thing has so many different. I mean, if you looked into all that. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I necessarily believe the ship disappeared and reappeared. I don't know whether I believe that part. There's so many other interesting things to it aside from that.
There's a lot of like corroborating like witness accounts where they're like, oh no, we saw it.
Yes, I know there are.
Right. And the big question is whether they saw the
There's
same
even
ship
people who on that one say when the ship reappeared, it reformed. Rematerialized.
And then there's like
with people stuck in the shell of the walls of the ship.
Yeah, like half in the wall, half out. Like the teleportation messed up.
That episode of Star Trek.
Did that happen? Yeah. Well, that's what people say. I mean, they've said that since back then.
Yeah.
I mean, these aren't people who've recently came out. These are old testimonies from people who were, involved or witnessed. I don't remember.
I knew a guy one time that
appeared in a wall of a...
No.
He's still in it.
No.
Still there, yeah.
No, but I knew a guy one time that did say he had visions of stuff, and some of his visions were spot on accurate, things that he could not have known.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I believe there are people who can tap into that.
There very well might be. And the fact is that they are suffering from the same thing we are, where they get lost in the noise of nonsense.
Right.
Where there's 100 people that say that happens.
Yeah, look,
there's a lot of people who are really good at cold reading.
Yeah, that's what most of it is. That's what I think most of psychic and mediums are.
I hear Jay, Jim, John,
George?
Robert.
George, yeah.
Does your name start with one of the 26 letters of the alphabet?
And that's similar to where we get whenever and last week we talked about the ghost box. That's similar to what we do whenever we hear shit come across on it. We make whatever we heard fit, and not just we, but everybody who uses the damn thing, in my opinion, because that's what I said. It's not the ghost box. It's the word generating thing. That's what it was. The word generating apps that we were talking about, they're not even all apps. What is that? The Ovulus?
Ovulus.
The Ovulus that some groups use where it'll spit out a word. You can make it fit absolutely anything around you.
I got to tell you, sometimes when I just need a good laugh, I go to the app store.
Oh,
I like type in paranormal.
Yeah, there's so many.
And I scroll down, and it's just
some of them have 5 stars.
Yeah. And a little button next to it, a little thing that says in-app purchases available.
There's nothing wrong with having 5 stars on your app.
There's not. There's not.
Or
There
a
is something
review.
wrong with selling something like that and tricking people into believing that it's authentic and
Well,
selling stuff
in their
on it.
defense, if you take the time to read all that crap you hit agree to, it says right there. You know, when you buy an app,
Entertainment purposes
Yeah, entertainment
only.
purposes only. But nobody reads that. Whenever it pops up and you load an app on your phone,
'Cause
you
they
just hit
wanna catch
agree.
some ghosts.
Yeah.
They want to catch some ghosts.
Yeah, but let's say that you wanted to put out an app right now, and that you wanted to put out the most true app possible. How would you even be able to do that?
For what?
Flashlight, recorder, compass, walkie-talkie.
I was going to say
Right.
everything you need.
It's already in
loaded.
there. You have it.
You got the voice recorder, the flashlight. Yeah. As far as an app goes, I don't think they're what. I mean, what would it be until they come out with a good FLIR type, heat sensing, app, which they're not going to do. I don't think.
No, you can't because the phone doesn't have that technology.
We had a YouTube group come, and he used that on his phone in the tunnel.
He used the heat thing.
Yes.
It doesn't measure heat.
There's
though.
no
He did
heat.
that, and then he said that there was a ghost, and he backed up into one of those metal things and cut himself and said the ghost did it, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what is wrong with
I've loaded. Look, I'm going to admit, I've loaded those apps onto my phone and tried them. They're not sensing heat.
They can't. The phone doesn't have that technology.
It doesn't have the ability. I know, but people think whenever an app's loaded, it magically comes with all the software it needs.
Might be wrong, but I think you can get an adapter for an iPhone. That
You can, and it hooks on the. It's an external device that you can hook on,
and it's not great.
Yeah,
but the phone itself cannot measure.
I've wanted a
in that
heat
capacity.
sensing camera so bad. I looked at those. They actually do have those. It clips on the outside of the phone and covers this with its own lens.
It's like extra hardware though. It's not like,
It's an external device. Yeah, it's not an internal software.
But at some point, you're better off just to buy a device that does that.
Yeah, but my God, they're expensive. That's why I was looking at all these other things because they are so expensive. Even the cheap ones, thousands. But I did load a few of those. When I first got the idea, I was like, I wonder if they have an app that would do that. Even I was stupid enough, I said that came out wrong. I mean, I even thought, well, maybe when the app's loaded, it comes with all the shit you need to see, heat. And when you point it at a refrigerator, it's not registering
it's
cold.
essentially just a filter.
It's registering shapes, yeah, and that's all. That's all those really do. And a lot of people, if we wanted to get off on a different rant, have asked us, "Hey, what's a good app to use? I'm going over to wherever. What's a good app I can load?"
Any of the recorder apps are great that will allow you to record audio.
I will say there are some third-party recorder apps that are better than the one that you get stock with like a phone. Like they have more options.
I think people want a radar when they ask that question. I really do. I think when they ask that question, what's the best ghost radar to use?
There is none.
And there are none.
No, you can't. That doesn't exist.
I mean, remember the podcast we did here at Pythian when we were in that room over there?
Oh, you had a whole bunch.
And we loaded them on the podcast. We was like, we're just going to load a few of these. We loaded some of the podcasts or some of the apps onto our phones.
Is the one with like the stick skeleton?
Yes. They have an app for that too. And you might as well use the app than to buy the SLS because it's the same thing. All it does is register shapes and matrix them into a stick figure. Or I mean that is a big question we get a lot too, is what is a good app for me to load? Or if you follow any of these like social media paranormal groups, my God.
The helmet.
Yeah.
The helmet that pumps the EMF into your head. That's so legit.
The pasta strainer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many shows, though, they'll do that stupid thing and wear it, and they see stuff. Come on.
Man, see,
Come on.
I used to think it was funny. It used to be entertaining for me.
Yeah, but now we're one of them.
But now, like, it's just, I don't know. I'm very, very pessimistic about all of it.
I don't like.
I get mad.
I don't like the gadgets.
I get irrationally angry.
The gadget dude.
If I see someone with a pasta strainer with a ghost radar, I just get mad. You know what I mean?
It's even better when they try to sell you their devices while they're at your building.
That's why I can't watch those shows, man. Almost all the ghost shows.
I've whittled it down to like two that don't do
dumb.
that. But even the one I really like still has an ovulus.
I think it that's the editing most of the time. The editing itself is just so, like, they'll add in these little creepy, screechy noises.
Well, and that's what Ghost Adventures does.
Oh, yeah, they try to jump scare
the timpani
Yeah.
drums.
Yeah.
You come back from break and it was like a bat.
Yeah.
I want a paranormal show that's like a nature documentary. You know what I mean? I want that level of excitement.
Well, that's really what Ghost Hunters is.
Yeah, okay.
the new Ghost Hunters show, the way they do it now, they stay at a location for an entire week. Now, when they were on before, under the Pilgrim, whatever production company, they whittled it down to make it look like they showed up, they got there at 8 o'clock, they left at 4 a.m. and caught all this shit. Now they're very open about the fact that we're going to stay all week, like 4 or 5 days. And it shows night 1, night 2, night 3, night 4. And they do the investigations throughout the day, too. And then they spend one of the days going to do historical research at the local historical society or whatever. To a lot of people, that kind of paranormal show is boring.
Yeah, it will not do well.
I mean, compared to Ghost Adventures, who like I've said on another podcast, they do post-production on their commercial segues.
They have like 20-second build-up soundtracks that just build up to someone.
Well, they do that. They do that, but they also do transitional post-production where they will add, and they're not trying. They're being. It's hard to explain what they're doing. I mean, if you watch like Ghost Hunters,
you mean like screen wipes and stuff?
Well,
like,
not
I've seen
even,
that.
No. Like on Ghost Hunters, when they go to a place and they're interviewing the person, as the person is saying, different experiences they had, they'll do a graphic representation of what the person's talking about, of like the spirit walking across. But they're not saying we caught this. It's very obvious that the person is telling what they caught, and they're doing a representation of it during the storytelling. Ghost Adventures does not make that as obvious. They do those graphic shots intermingled into the actual investigation.
Yeah, that's
to trick people.
So disingenuous, man. I hate it. Like people need to realize that, like, if you're actually going to take this seriously, like, science is boring. It's boring as hell. Collecting evidence, like, most of the time, it's nothing. Your hypothesis doesn't work. It all falls apart. It's boring.
Yeah,
and no one wants to watch that. No one's.
But the thing is, if you did a ghost show, that you would come in, let's say we put a ghost show out that Tyler approves 100%, is 1,000,000% accurate, it's going to get canceled in the first 2 weeks.
Well, and if you
maybe
watch,
if it's not, but it could be done right. I'd watch it.
And if you watched, I don't want to keep sounding like I'm getting a paycheck bumper from Ghost Hunters, because I'm not. But if you watch their show, you would see they do that. They did an investigation at a place where the rumor was there are bodies buried. The first thing they did is brought in cadaver dogs. They checked the whole place. They marked every spot and they dug. They did all that. So they actually do all that real life stuff.
Correct, but that's an established brand.
That's what I was going to say, is they're able to get away with that because they were on for 15 years. The show, I don't know if it got canceled. That may not be the right word. It got canceled, and then they attempted to revive it in other ways, and then the original team came back, and when the original team coming back is the draw for people like me to watch it. It's not that how authentic their investigations are or how scientific they are. I want to see Grant and Dave and all those, I can't even think of the names off the top of my head, but all those guys do. I said Grant, I meant Jason, because Grant's not on anymore. But anyway, all those guys come back together and do the investigation. That's why I watch. But a part of the reason why I like to watch it is because they do real investigations. But most people prefer the Ghost Adventures type. You can look at the ratings and see that.
And it's because people want to see ghosts.
Even with their, I'm using the term loosely, star power of the original Ghost Hunters team is not enough to overcome the production antics performed by Ghost Adventures. That's what people want to see. If they're going to spend Friday night watching TV, they damn well want to see a shadow figure moving across the wall.
There are some shows where I've tried a lot. Like I'll be just browsing through my whatever it is, Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of them. And I'll see like a ghost show I never heard. I watch it. Sometimes I get maybe 3 minutes in before I'm like immediately just like, I'm like over it.
There's some I watch because I have Discovery Plus and they're all on there. I think I've finished that channel because there's some I watch for the purpose of
entertainment.
How ridiculous they are.
Ridiculous.
There's a guy that I follow for that reason.
Who?
There's one that I follow for that reason. And it's so bad. And it's just terrible.
I need to watch one of those. I keep sending them to you, but I never watch them.
The best.
Is he all alone?
Yes.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Melissa.
No, don't watch
Melissa even watched it, and
It's
she
so
said it was
bad.
great.
Doesn't he break out a Ouija board at one point? Or something?
He's got a Ouija board, and he's got every app and all that stuff, and
He's got one of those voice apps where it'll talk back to you, but he's got it in like a creepy voice sounding thing.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
It's so bad. Don't waste. No.
It is.
That was 20 minutes of my life that is gone.
Yes, but if you're watching it up front and you're doing it for entertainment,
No,
It's good.
it's cringy.
I mean, I get it. It's the same thing as like I like to watch bad movies.
Yeah,
This is the worst. This guy's the worst.
Well, it's like watching Mystery Science Theater. I mean, you watch that for the purpose of watching a terrible movie. And that's the reason, I mean, that's why John brought it up. He doesn't watch it because they're so scientific. He watches it because it's absurd. And that's the reason I watch some of these shows like Ghost Loop, which is one of the dumbest ones I've seen.
Ghost Loop.
Ghost Loop, yes.
I will
And
see.
they use that term throughout every freaking episode
What does it
100
mean?
times as though that's a term we throw
What does
around.
it mean? What do they say it means?
It's
like a ghost hot
They're-
zone is the
they're
ghost
talking
loop.
about residual activity.
They're stuck in a loop.
But they call it a ghost loop like 500 times per episode. You know, you know how rappers in the middle of the rap song will shout out their name randomly? You know what I'm saying? Macklemore does that a lot. That's what they do in the show. It's like, well, you know, for this particular ghost loop.
It's like Ghost Loop.
Everybody
Let's
go
go.
see.
He said it. I just got a head rush. But that's why they do it, and they throw this term around as though that's something that we, you know, in this field actually use, and it's absolutely not. But anyway, Ghost Loop is a ridiculous one. I mean, some of their methods are okay, but I even watched that. What was that one? The big 28 Days Haunted.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was
Oh,
terrible.
we started that.
That was awful.
I will see
The dude
all
had a heart attack.
of your
Okay,
ghost shows. I will see them and raise you with my guy.
I may have to.
My guy is beyond
See, but your
all
guys-
those ghost
that's
shows.
kind of like an independent like YouTube.
I almost
Right.
feel sorry
But
for that.
these are like these shows here
Are making money.
are making money. They're
Yeah.
on
A lot
contracts signed.
of money.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah, they've got high production, you know, value
There's
going
millions
on.
of dollars going between hands here based on like Ghost Loop.
But this,
Right, but it's entertainment. It's an entertainment. Look at it. Look how much time we spent talking about his show.
I mean, it's true. It
Well-
caused us to talk about it for 30 minutes. So
So and he didn't pay anything for any of this. So he's pretty smart dudes.
That's right.
No, smart is if you're
Clever
making
businessmen,
if you're
man. They're
making
clever
money.
businessmen.
If
They're
you're
not
making
smart.
money,
we have a really bad habit of ostracizing our target audience.
oh, we're terrible at it. We're terrible.
We're not going to have anybody left after this shit.
But I know, and I say that because I would imagine a lot of the people who are interested in a podcast such as this probably watched and liked the 28 Days show, and probably some of these other shows I've talked about, like Ghost Loop.
Oh, I'm sure.
Guaranteed
I'm
Ghost
sure.
Adventures. There's tons of Ghost Adventures fans. I mean, Zach Baggins has he's got a whole empire, and he's an idiot.
That sentence.
He's a fucking idiot.
What you just said there, what you just said, Zach Baggins has an empire, might be the most depressing sentence I've ever heard.
I know. The dude has a chain of museums now.
Like, I feel like going home and just sleeping now.
but once again, you all, everybody leaves here is like, yeah, we've done the ethical right thing. He has done a deal where he has pandered to his audience. He is targeted in. He has created an audience that's there, and he is super serving them. So
he's not even
he's
good
been
at it.
possessed like 67 times.
I
and
know,
lived to tell
he's
the
not
story.
even good at it. The acting is terrible. 2 thumbs down on the acting on Ghost Adventures.
Zach Baggins is the Mick Jagger of the ghost industry.
And there are people out there
That's
who
really
think-
accurate. I
There are
like that.
people out there who think Mick Jagger's really got some moves.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's exactly the same thing. And part of the reason why I hate Zach Baggins worse than I ever did is because he was the producer for, or maybe is, I don't know, for one of the shows that I watch now that's actually one of the realer ones. Their only downfall is they use the Ovilus, Destination Fear. He was the producer of that show, and now he's attempting to do whatever he can because it's become popular. And he doesn't want anything to compete with Ghost Adventures on the same network. So now he's trying to disassemble that whole show. So anyway, I disliked him for years, but now it's much stronger because I do think he's a moron. And I know there's people who listen to the podcast who love Zach Baggins, and that's fine. I mean, if you're going to watch it for, like we said, entertainment value and for the absurdity, go for it. But if you're watching it to see, realistic, I mean, for God's sake, they spent the entire episode in a lobby because something was preventing us from going into the main structure of the building. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. That was just a terrible episode.
I guarantee you, I could have walked right in there.
Anybody could.
Nothing would have happened.
Yeah, but he gets that wild-eyed look, and at that moment, a white light entered my left elbow. It's like, shut the fuck up. That's dust. You guys have been scurrying around a building that hasn't had a human in it for 3 years and are surprised to see dust. Anyway.
Started with specks of light, ended with incontinence.
Yeah.
Just couldn't get past that lobby.
It was so absurd. And he got possessed in the lobby. And
I'm shocked.
Look, like you
and I
said,
think one of the other guys did too. It jumped from him to one of the other.
They flop around on the ground.
But he practically does. He'll get down on his hands and knees and punch the floor because he's an idiot.
I was just gonna say, like, if people listen or if people watch that stuff for entertainment, that's fine. Like, I really don't want people to think we're judging them.
I can see our graph.
I can't, dude. I've been just visualizing it this whole time, and
going
it's just
down.
not good. It's going down. So if you watch it for entertainment, that is fine. That's fine. The reason that we kind of make fun of it is because we've been doing this for a long time. We've heard and seen things that cannot be explained. And then seeing people take advantage of that interesting idea is frustrating.
And let us throw in, by the way, the Ghost Adventures crew was in this very room where we're sitting once.
They were.
And
Do you really want to get me started on it?
Well, and Zach got possessed here.
Yep, he got possessed in the room that all the tour guides stay the night in when we stay the night.
We're
that
here.
we've spent countless hours in. You've spent hundreds of hours in.
But he's sensitive.
Uh-huh.
That's what people would say.
That's what they say.
Okay, well, get this. We had a lady come, and she followed me on a tour to train to become a tour guide. She was waving in every room, and I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm sensitive. I can see them. They're on the stairs.
And at that moment, she knew she was batshit crazy.
And we went down to the dungeon, and I'm talking about the dungeon, which is, ooh, spooky. She starts giggling because the ghosts were tickling her.
Oh, my God.
I just shot her this look like, would you shut
I wouldn't have been able to. I would have had
And then she told somebody in the boys' dorm upstairs to get out of the chair because they were sitting on a ghost.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that person in my house.
I cannot deal with people like that. That is all attention seeking. And I was like, I went and told the owner, I was like, she cannot give tours here. Absolutely not.
I mean,
Absolutely
part of me
not.
wonders if she wasn't trying to fluff her resume. You know how you do when you go.
You know how many sensitive people come through here and don't wave in every fucking room and stuff?
So that's the last piece of advice, kids. When you go on your first job interview, just lie a lot.
I mean, good grief. But yeah, Ghost Adventures is here. They were possessed. Zach wore a respirator in the basement because it's super dirty in the basement. And then he took this story of one of our tour guides and her brother, and they stayed the night here. The castle sat, and she did have a dream in the middle of the night something bad was going to happen to her brother, and he died a couple weeks later. But Zach took that and said a demon at the castle caused her brother's
that's
death.
the stuff that I have a real big problem.
And as soon as I saw that episode, I was like, fuck you. Your show is shit.
If there was a demon in this place, it's pretty freaking docile.
He put a respirator on because he wanted to look cool.
Of course
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
And one of his guys saw aliens in the basement.
Aliens.
Whoa, hold on there.
The first cell in the right, when you go to the basement, they locked one of their guys in, and he saw aliens.
Oh, he did. That's
he
right.
saw aliens, and he slept on the dirty
Did you watch
floor.
I did, just for entertainment to see how crazy it was.
He slept on the dirty floor, and he saw aliens.
Did he talk to the aliens?
I mean, probably.
What
I
did
don't
they
know.
say? I want to
So
know.
that's the absurdity level that we
episode's
talk
available.
about.
Hey, aliens are not absurd.
I believe this 100%. That he
Sorry,
saw
that's my
aliens in
fault.
the
He said
basement
he
of
saw
Pythian
it like
Castle.
in the room with him,
Yes,
just sitting
in
there.
the room.
So he walked into the basement and all the cells. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So
He
listen, hang on. Ghosts are in one. Next one down, you got aliens.
Bigfoot.
Bigfoot's down there. We don't keep him around the other.
So yeah, next time we do our investigation here, beware the aliens that we have in the basement.
We just put the Norse gods in the tunnel.
Look, we can't pretend to be demonic experts. We've had an experience once where it was very aggressive. Whatever that was,
I don't even know what that means.
you can classify it as however you want.
You guys know like the whole like how I feel about the whole like classifying things,
Yeah.
spirits or demons. I'm
Well,
like, I don't know what that.
Well, the only point I was
You want
trying
to drop the D word for the one he's talking about? I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, whatever that
D-word
was.
for Willard's okay.
See, the D word to me just means very aggressive and obvious. Like it's
That's what it means to me. It doesn't. It has no ties.
No
to hell.
spirituality. Yeah, okay.
No.
That's fine. And whatever we experienced there was much more aggressive than anything we've experienced
You want to
before.
call it a ghost butthole? You want to call it a demon? Whatever you want to do is fine.
Ghost butthole.
I think I'll stick
John,
with demon,
John's taking the
probably.
higher road and not cursing like I did earlier.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Well, the only reason I say that is we're not experts in that particular field. But I can tell you this much. There's not one here at Pythian Castle. If
No.
there is, it's a pussycat.
I've been here for 5 years and nothing like that.
So
here.
the Zach Baggins can march in here one night and find the darkest thing possible is bullshit.
Okay, but he's sensitive, and you can't prove that he's not.
Oh, going back to
that's
that.
true.
That girl that was training, I was I always kind of joke about ghost adventures in the front room, and I said that we don't have a demon here, and she was like, actually, and I just looked at her like...
She just points. He's right over there, in fact.
She stopped talking. I just looked at her
Did
and
she
I was
see
like,
it?
I don't know, probably. It was probably standing in the corner waving to her.
Yeah.
Just like she did in every other room.
Anybody who's planning on taking, and we get no financial bump from Pythian Castle either, but we can tell you this much with 100% accuracy: there is not a demon
No.
here. I mean, we were here till 3:30 in the morning, in the darkest corners the place offers.
Yeah, but there is weird things.
But
that
I was not wearing a posture strainer.
You can no, and you can have paranormal. You can
Or a
have
respirator.
You
Or a
can have
respirator.
significant paranormal, activity without it being a, what people refer to as a demon. And I don't even know what Zach Baggins refers to as a demon.
All people need is a flashlight and a good recording device and maybe an EMF meter. That's all you need.
But if you're worried you're going to come in here and have something jump into your body,
No.
it's not going to happen.
No.
Because we've spent countless hundreds of hours here, and Melissa spent more, and we can tell you that much for sure. But as
Very
far
creepy,
as,
though. It's still creepy.
There's paranormal activity all over the place. That's 100% confirmed. But I mean, to come in here and get possessed and get all wild-eyed and anger boiling up inside you, that's nonsense.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, when I watch him, I get anger boiling up inside me too. So I do understand that part of it.
If I were Zach Baggins, I'd be pretty angry.
You should watch it. Yeah, I would too. You should watch the episode. Just watch it.
Oh, please. Yes, watch it.
You sold me on the aliens in the cell.
Oh, yeah.
Was that on the episode?
Yes.
It was,
Oh,
yeah.
good Lord Almighty. I don't even remember that.
You went into the cell 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
The same alien cell?
Yeah. Well, because he got a short tour because we were helping move something.
I got a
okay.
little basement.
I thought I felt aliens.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. At
Now
the
you
time,
know.
but no.
Now you know.
I mean, I could link the episode
No.
on the website.
No.
I'll at least send you the link. It's also available.
It'd be really interesting now. I'm going to watch that because we know this place now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I had watched that 3 years ago, it probably wouldn't have meant as much to me. But now, like,
They
That's
didn't
kinda why
spend
I
like
watched
any
it.
time in the tunnel. I think the end of the show.
It's too dusty.
I think the end of the show was Aaron, I think is his name,
Yeah.
was like, oh, did you hear that? And then it cuts it off. And I'm like, you just wasted all that time. You could have been spending it in the
No,
tunnel.
in fact, I didn't hear that.
That's how they ended the show?
I think that was the end.
I think they ended it in a really weird spot.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Watch it, and then we'll come back, and you can give us your...
Yeah, when you see them do, the establishing shot of the castle, and you can feel the evil oozing out. It's like, you're so full of shit.
It's a fun watch minus the part where he twists the story around about.
Yeah, that's just
That's really
disrespectful
annoying.
and just a ridiculous thing to say.
Well, he's doing it all for the...
You're trying to capitalize off somebody's death.
Yeah.
It's really gross.
It's
It is.
pathetic.
Zach.
And quit canceling my damn shows, jackass.
Does anybody else have anything to say to Zach?
Well, I know he's probably one of the most popular TV figures in this field.
It's the second most depressing sentence.
I know, but it's true, and that's why I'm saying it's a risky thing to talk about. How much you dislike the most popular person. In your.
Now, his idea of the haunted museum is kind of cool.
That is cool.
That's great.
I like that.
That's great. Yeah, that's a good
There
idea.
you go, Zach.
Just stop there.
I'll give you that.
But they even did episodes of Ghost Adventures, and I don't know why, but where Zach was like in a room in a completely different state. Have you seen those? I don't know why I subject myself to this nonsense. Zach's in a room, like in his house, and he's watching the investigation on all these monitors, and he's like calling the shots.
Well, I know exactly why he
there?
did that. He wanted to be in a room in his house and cash a paycheck at the same time.
Well, I know, but he's usually there. He's usually front and center in front of the camera. He's a camera, he loves the camera. That's why I thought it was so odd. I wonder if he was like trying to stay away so he wouldn't get like COVID or something. I don't know.
He was probably getting over a possession.
Probably. Yeah. I don't know. But for whatever reason, they did these episodes where he was calling the shots from wherever.
Anytime he gets possessed, he has to spend a week watching TV in his house.
Have you ever seen him get possessed? You can see it start coming on. You can see him start. It's like, oh, God, here we go. Here we go.
5 minutes of this episode.
Turn it up because he starts getting wild.
He starts looking like Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yes, and then he does the voiceover. He does the voice at that moment. An anger welled up inside of me that I can't explain. It's like I can explain it. You're an idiot.
That might just be him noticing he has a conscience for a brief second. And then becoming overly self-critical, and he feels bad.
I mean, if you really should spend some time and watch some of those episodes.
He's just like, Maybe I am a piece of shit.
Yeah, but okay, look at this. Look at this though. I mean, you're sitting here just beating this guy into the ground, but at the same time, you got to spend some time watching these shows. That's what drives his ratings.
Right. Yeah.
It is.
Well,
and
what drives his ratings is most people like him, and that's what I'm saying. We're tiptoeing in at a tricky spot.
There's people that like him, and there's also people that hate him, and watch for pure entertainment value of that too. And that's what makes him so much money.
I'm sure he's truly not like blind to it. Like he knows what he's doing.
Oh, sure he does. Yeah, he's not an idiot. He's not an idiot. I clearly said a minute ago he's an idiot. But as far as
You did word verbatim.
I think I said that exact phrase.
His on-screen character.
There you go. That's a real good way to put it.
Yeah, but he knows what he's doing.
He is apparently a pretty good actor.
Really?
If nothing else, he can act.
Well,
So
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It doesn't.
He's
take,
playing a part very well.
Yeah. From where I'm sitting on my couch, it looks terrible. Because you can see it coming on. You can see him start to get wild-eyed and stupid. But you really can.
you can. That's what's funny.
You can see him start to get, Zach, are you okay? And he starts pushing people.
Right, but my point is, look at this.
Stupid.
I mean, look. I mean, we don't believe in any of that at all. But we spent 30 minutes talking about Zach Baggins and his shows and download his show. I mean, he's not an idiot.
No, he's not. As far as taking
we spent a lot of time focusing on the guy.
I don't think it's necessarily good press, even if you're making money and getting good ratings, that for people to say, well, he's good at taking advantage of his.
I get that, but I mean, you know it as well as I do in the entertainment world. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's driving things to his brand so he can make more money.
And he was actually producing the show that I was talking about, Destination Fear, because one of the guys on Destination Fear was once his cameraman on Ghost Adventures. As it started to increase popularity, he's now trying to back it off because Ghost Adventures, is there in the ratings hunt as well. We spent a lot of time talking about Zach Bagans. Our original idea was to talk about
What was it? Pets? Pets? So,
and I'm not saying we should go back to that. However, I will say I did have pulled up on Google the different kinds of pet ghosts. If anybody wants some classification.
Well, there's dogs and there's cats and there's parrots.
No. Much deeper than that. There's the entity ghost animal, which is like a ghost of an animal that you once owned. There's an imprint ghost animal, which I think, upon reading it here, would best be described as a residual type thing. There's if this is the one I figured Tyler would like. This is the elemental ghost animal,
like a golem, like a rock golem.
Essentially, yeah. They start talking about hellhounds,
fire beasts.
Fire. That's not in here exactly, but yeah, I think that probably is a subheading of hellhound. The red glowing eyes, the big those. That's an elemental. If you run into that, just immediately know that is an elemental ghost animal.
So if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back.
If it's black, get back. If the eyes are red, you're dead. And then there's the harbinger ghost animals. Those are physical animals in the real world that carry spiritual energy with them. So those would be attachment animals.
So the others can't attach?
I don't know. That's just the classification system. I'm just telling you, if you run into a...
I've heard a couple things that sounded like a red-eyed hellhound.
Well, actually, we have two.
Remember in the Nixa attic?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
When I got
the growling?
Yes.
Yeah, that thing that when we were little kids.
Yeah, that thing. And could that have been a bird or an owl? Maybe, but my God, it would have been a big one.
Yeah, I don't think it was either, because there was an animal when we were little kids that was over in the woods, and you would hear this. They would go rah, 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 and it was almost like a cat, but a bird. It was really bizarre, really bizarre.
Kind of squatchy.
No, I mean not the Sasquatch sounds that I've heard. This sounded more like a cat, kind of.
More of a panther type sound of a.
I mean, we
bobcat.
heard it. It's not one of those things where there's an urban,
really big fat bobcat.
No,
I don't know. I don't know those animal sounds well enough to tell you, but I know you could tell when it was closer or further.
Yeah.
Well, that's creepy.
Bobcats can make some crazy noises.
I know all animals, rabbits, deer, they can all make some crazy ass sounds.
Owls can sound like a woman.
A woman
being
screaming,
murdered.
I know, and it didn't sound like that. Is the thing. And that's why is there a breed of owl out there that does? There may be. I don't know. We just didn't know what it was, and it was loud, and we heard it for years.
Yeah, my mom heard it.
And it wasn't seasonal. It wasn't like you heard it only during the summer or only
in the woods to like on the other side of the road.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, the woods across the road, the big, the thick woods.
And you would hear it going up and down in the woods.
Like it hooves on leaves.
Just like
the sound was traveling.
You could hear the distance between them.
Yeah, that's creepy.
You could hear it further or closer.
And I don't know what it was.
I don't. It must have been an elemental animal.
There's no other explanation.
There's no other possible explanation.
Nothing else makes any sense at all.
But anyway, I'm just saying that's one we heard. And what it was, we never knew. The only thing that was consistent was it was at night. That's what makes you lean towards maybe some kind of owl or something. I have no idea. I've never heard anything like it in the many, many years since.
No, I've never heard anything like that.
And I never heard anything like it, in other areas, even at that time, and I've been in lots of backwoods, fishing and, whatever.
We used to call it the rock thing.
Because that's the sound that it sounded like it made.
You go, rah, rah.
But no, I've never seen a dog ghost.
No, we've never, as far as I know, none of us, Melissa, you mentioned something, but.
I feel like I saw my dead cat in the basement, like walk through the basement.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't that long after she passed.
That would be an imprint animal that you experienced there, Melissa. An imprint animal.
Fantastic. Sometimes it also would feel like that a cat would jump on the bed.
That's one.
When I didn't have,
that's one that comes up quite a bit. It's usually a dog, a bigger dog, and people will say they can still feel their dog jump up on the bed. Yeah. So really, I mean, we kind of bookended the podcast with the entire topic we said we were going to talk about. We talked about 2 minutes at the beginning about pet ghosts, and then we talked
2 minutes at the end.
About 2 or 3 minutes here at the end about them. But that's really all we know about them. Now we're getting into folklore animals. So my reading of that article is done. Look, there's the whole graph of how you get your different ghost animals. Anyway, okay, so if anybody's got anything of substance to add it. I'm out. I'm dry.
Did you guys ever use a Ouija board?
No.
You wouldn't?
Oh, did you say would we or did we? Well, the answer to both is no. Huh?
You wouldn't?
I would not.
I would not use one.
I wouldn't know.
Why?
Well, it's kind of like that thing where even though I don't think anything would happen with it, I know nothing will happen with it if I don't use it.
Right. I just don't feel the need to play. You know what? I've seen enough things.
I've seen too many shows.
Well,
movies.
Well, you know how I think and how my brain works on this subject. And I'm in the same camp. I wouldn't use one.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because the prospect that something could happen is enough to deter me from doing it.
I would agree with that.
Well, and for me, it's more I know
But
nothing
it's
will
just
happen
a
if I
game
don't.
board. It's like opening Monopoly.
I know. It's the same. It's made on the same production line.
And putting your little hands on a what's that called? A planchet?
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing.
The only interesting thing, we're going off on all kinds of tangents here, but the only interesting thing I've ever seen from a Ouija board was a video of a guy who made his own. I think I've talked about this before. His house, his house was, he said it's 100% haunted, and he had videos, of things happening in the house. And he drew out a Ouija board on cardboard and used an upside down wine glass. And the wine glass did move on its own in the video. I wasn't there. I can't say that there wasn't, magician's thread or string, but it looked real to me. And then the glass broke. After he left the house, he left everything sitting there. He had a camera that rolled all the time, and the body of the glass where you'd put the drink actually broke, and the stem just kind of fell over. So that was probably the best Ouija board type video I've ever seen, and that wasn't even one off the Warner or off the Milton Bradley production line or whatever.
Weird.
And they used to make them, they used to carve them out of wood at one point.
Ouija boards?
Yeah. Before it wasn't always a game board on rocks, and
you could probably buy like a custom-made Ouija board off Etsy if you
wanted sure. To. They make coffee tables that are Ouija boards. Yeah. But I wouldn't use one.
I still wouldn't use one.
Yeah. Mainly because, like I said, I know nothing will happen if I don't. I can't say for sure what will happen if I do. I don't think anything. But it's much safer for me to not use it.
For sure, nothing good.
Well, I mean, yeah, what's the positive benefit going to be of using it?
It moved
knowing that they work or not. Well, I'm okay with not knowing for sure.
You want to break out one next investigation?
I really don't.
I don't either.
I don't at all.
Pass.
Any more rabbit holes?
Not that I can think of.
We'll do it next week.
More dark matter next week if anyone's still listening with Midwest Ghost Hunters.